Hey guys, it's Laurel. Welcome back. This is FLOSSTUBE number 12, and today is Sunday, March 26th. So glad you stumbled upon me, or glad you returned back to see what was going on. Been a pretty uneventful week. We went yesterday. My daughter wasn't working, didn't have anything planned in the morning. My son took the day off from the garage yesterday, and we all took a trip to Charlotte Concord area and went to Topgolf. So that was a lot of fun and very entertaining. So since we did that, I came home, took a nap, and didn't really feel like filming when I got up. So I decided today would be a good day to do a little filming. It's very rainy today, unexpectedly. The weather was not really calling for that, so it's kind of a good veg out day. My son's gone to eat lunch with some friends. Me and my husband came back. We're just kind of vegging out, so thought I would kind of jump in and see what everybody was up to. So I did have a new FLOSSTuber that I started watching. Her name is Tammy Ernest, and I think it's listed as Tammy Ernest Quilting. I think she does do some FLOSSTuber videos, but the videos that I've seen of her, I've just watched a few, are quilting related. So she is a quilter, and she shows her own progress, and then she also shows her client quilts. She is a long arm quilter, and she did a series of videos that showed setting up a quilt on your long arm and loading it, and just different tips and stuff, and went into some specifics. And I really enjoyed that, because one day I hope to have a long arm, but that's down to future away. So that was really neat to watch. So I am on the lookout for any other quilting channels. If y'all know of any, just drop them in the comments below. I'd love to see those. And if there's any new FLOSSTubers that you've seen, drop those down below too. I always like to check out the new FLOSSTubers. I can't even tell you how many I have subscriptions to, because I just really enjoy watching them, and it's really fun and exciting to see what they've been up to, and makes me, sometimes, you know, they're working on something that I have the pattern, I feel like I need to pull it out and start it. So anyway, if you're new, if you just stumbled upon me and this is your first video, I do show cross stitch and quilting on my channel. I try to keep that separate as much as possible, so I normally start with the cross stitch and then I go into quilting at the end. So if it's something you're not interested in, you know, you don't have to sit through it, but I do always encourage you, both if you're not a quilter, to sit through the cross stitch portion, and if you're not a cross stitcher, sit through the quilters portion. I did have a lady that commented, and I'm so sorry I can't remember her name right now, but she had commented that she got a tip off the quilting portion that actually helped in her finishing of her cross stitch pieces. So I do think the two kind of go together. I do have a couple friends that do both. One of my best friends, where I say I am a quilter who cross stitches, she is a cross stitcher who quilts. So we give each other lots of tips and hints and challenges, and it's really fun to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off. So let's just jump in, see what's what. So I wanted to start today and do a couple previous finishes, and I'm not sure, I may have shown these in a previous video, and if I did, I'm sorry. I won't hold them up too very long, but I just want to thought it would be fun to show some finished items. So the first one is by Shakespeare's Peddler, Antique Scissors and Spools. She has a new video out, Kitten Stitcher does, where she talks about her new book release. Oh, I'm going to need this book. If y'all have not watched that for some reason, jump over to Kitten Stitcher and watch that. I love to watch her videos. She just has all this energy, and she's so smart, and she shows her samplers like she always shows you in this book. She shows all the original samplers and then the stitch pieces, and I just love the way she presents her videos when she does a new book. So I'm just rambling about that now, but anyway, Antique Scissors and Spools. I did this on a piece of 16 count Ada. Sorry, it's a little dusty. And I did do it in a pillow. I liked how she had this finish. So after I stitched it, I was looking for a piece to put across the bottom like she did. And I actually had this piece, was a piece of leftover. I added some trim to somebody's prom dress one year, and I had just a little bit of this left. So I put it down there on the bottom of my pillow. and I really like that. And it sits up here on the top of my shelf. It lives up there. I also wanted to show, this is I'm 99% sure this is a free pattern. Hope Celebration Small. And now that I'm holding up, I think I did show this maybe in the first couple videos. So again, I'm sorry, but it's down here, so I'm gonna show you. This is Hello from Liz Matthews. I've really come to like her designs over the last little bit, her and her mom both. This is I said something about it in the last video and then I didn't pull it down off the shelf to show, but this is my one and only linen finish. Sorry, it has fuzzies on it because it's been sitting up on the shelf with my jelly rolls up here and they're very fuzzy. So this is stitched on a piece of tin Ruth, and the DMC is DMC 3777. Yes, and I do love that DMC color. Somebody, I think Jacob with Modern Folk Embroidery, had said that was his favorite red, and it is a really nice red because it's not in your face red. It's not like, ooh, crazy bright, but it's still very vibrant, I guess is the right words. I don't know. So that's my previous finishes. I don't really show like a previous finish every video because if I did, I would be done in just a few videos because I don't have a lot of stuff finished. I say that, but I probably, if I went digging around, there's probably more than I would think initially. I was actually changing some decorations out in the house last weekend, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of quilts in here. I got a lot going on. I got a lot, and I'm okay with that. It's good. So I did have a finish over the last couple weeks. I finished Patience 1898. I'm sorry, I know it's kind of glary, but I wasn't going to take it out since I have the finish. This one I started as my piece for hashtag best bunnies SAL, and I'm not sure who started it. I kept saying it was Sweetwater or Fanciful Flamingo, but I think it might have been the Novel Stitcher, but I don't know. But I'm sure y'all have seen it somewhere across the land of FLOSSTUBE. And this is my finish. So this is stitched on a piece of 18 count Affogato Ada. And I'm very torn. It's little, you know, it's petite, so I could do it as a pillow, but I feel like that's just my default to finish everything on a pillow. So I want to do something a little bit different, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I just love that little bunny. I just think it's adorable. So I like that. So that's my one and only finish. I have been stitching, and sorry, I threw that down in a pile and it wrinkled up. I was determined I wasn't going to bend down up and down 80 times, but I guess I am. I have been stitching a lot, I feel like, but I've also done a lot of quilting over the last couple weeks, so there may be more quilting in this video than cross stitch. I don't know. Like I said, when I think I've done a lot, it winds up to be a little, and then I flip-flop and I just wind up babbling. So my next piece I worked on is Love Sampler. I don't work on this every day as part of my rotation. It normally just winds up with some weekend work and maybe a day during the week, and I've talked about that in previous videos. I'm not going to keep dragging that up. So last time I think I had done maybe this side, some across the bottom, some over the side. I'm not sure exactly where I was, but I did make some progress on this one. So I'm trying to get it where the light's not shining all through it. So I finished the top completely with the flowers. I brought the border down this side. This side, the border is all the way down. The flowers are all done. I just had to put the leaves in. Then I was able to finish Love in the middle and put the first key in. So I would like to drop down towards the bottom and go ahead and start on some of the border at the very, very bottom and kind of come up, meet in the middle somewhere. And this is on a piece of 28 count Lugana that I coffee tea dyed. And the pattern calls for 2 different colors. I'm using just one color. I'm using Gentle Art Sampler Threads Cranberry. I like it just in the one color, and I think it was probably going to be a little cumbersome for me to split it up and do, because the flowers are one color, the leaves are another color, part of the leaves on the outside are a different color, and I just wanted to have a nice red, just one color. So I decided to pick cranberry because the last 2 red samplers I did were a little bit brighter, and I like that one that has a little bit of depth to it. And then this is my focus whip. I showed this in the last video. A shepherd song. I went back and looked. I started this, I think, in 2020. No, copyright's 2020. Maybe I started in 21. Either the end of 20 or the beginning of 21, because I've been working on this a long time. So last time all I had left were some work on the sheeps, the little yellow doodads, and the wording. So it doesn't look like I've done a whole lot since then, but I have finished all my little yellow doodads. So all the yellow doodads on this side are done. Doodads, I don't know, stars, I don't know what they are. But that's done. I have finished 1, 2, 3 of the sheep. I have finished their faces. The sheep on this side that has the aqua on it, his face was finished, but it was not good. So I took the eyes back out, because this is, I'll try to show you a little closer. This is an Ada, so you have to split the weave in order to get the smaller stitches in, which is not easy to do, but like I said, this is a super soft Ada, so it wasn't, I mean, it's doable, it's just not as pretty as if you did it on an even weave or a linen. But when I started this, I didn't know any better, so but if you look at the eyes, so this one turned out okay. One of the other ones turned out okay. That sheep just has some crazy eyes, but it's okay. It's going to stay in because they're really small, and I'm not going to be able to get them out. I did take them out on the one, but I had tried to cheat and use full stitches, and it just looked horrible. So, so now, I mean, hopefully the next time I show this, it'll be finished, because I have 3 sheep to finish their faces and eyes, 1 sheep to do the eyes, and just the wording. So I probably could have finished it this weekend, but I was really in the mood to sew, so I did a lot more quilting yesterday than I did stitching. So I'll work on that during lunch this week and hopefully have a finish this week on that. And then my next whip is Wildflowers by Kathy Barrick, and I love this. I'm at the halfway point of the outline. Some of the fill-in has been done. Now up at the top she has June 10th, 1882, and then down here at the bottom she has Maryland and her initials. So I'm probably going to put just the date that I finish it. I'm going to put my initials, and I'm going to put Liberty over here for the town that we live in. So, and this is on a piece of, last time I couldn't remember, it's a 28 count Murky by Picture This Plus. So, and it hasn't all been hard. I thought, I was worried that, sitting in front of the TV, I would have some mistakes and all that counting, but I don't. It's it's been pretty good. I love that little star up there in the corner. So that one you'll see for a while longer, and I'm sorry if you're tired of looking at it. I don't know. But I love it. So I already have in my mind, I have visualized nice, you know, intricate black frame with a lot of detail to go up around it. I'm super excited to have that done. So, and I talked in the last video, I've been really done a fairly good job of keeping any of my things that I've started this year in my rotation and keep them going, not put them down. I made progress on my system that I'm using for my whips, which is just 12 pieces that are in that whip process that I have picked out. So I was thinking the other day that I still have, you know, I have like 25-ish whips. So if I'm only paying attention to 12 this year, that's a whole year that I'm not doing anything with my older whips. So I decided I would give WhipGo a try. So I went in and read on it and kind of looked to see how it was that everybody was doing this, because everybody's been talking about it and saying that they're having good success with it. So I was like, I'll try this. So they had already pulled for January, February, March. So when I made my list, I just left those. I took those numbers and just marked them as they were already done. And then what I did was in my book of days, I have at the beginning all of my whips listed. So I just went down and listed all of my whips on my WhipGo board, and then except for the ones that were part of my focus process. And then when I got to the end, it wasn't enough to fill the board up because some had already been used. So I went and started at the top of my focus pieces and came down and used those. So, and I'm only putting like an hour for the month on these pieces, because that will give me enough time to know that, okay, I still love it and I want to do it and I want to finish it, or I need to just stop and use the rest of that material for something else, or it's not my thing anymore. But hopefully, I would like to think that the bulk of them I will just finish and I'll just fall back in love with them once I get them out and work on them for a little bit. So it's kind of funny because when I was making my list, I was like, oh, I hope that one doesn't get pulled this week, this time. And then I got to this other piece and I was like, oh, I really hope that one does get pulled. Well, they both got pulled. It was the two that I had on my brain, the one I wanted to work on the most and the one I wanted to work on the least, and they both got pulled for this past week, which I guess is for April, I think is how that works. So the first one is the Cottage of the Month, April, by Country Cottage Needleworks. I have done January, February, March. And I like all three of those. I like April. I like the cottages. I don't like the fabric that I'm stitching it on. And I don't like the color that I made the roof, because I didn't want to use these colors. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 14 count Aida, because when I started these, that's all I would stitch on. It's on like a, you know, like a sky pattern kind of Aida. I like the color of the house, but I don't like the browns I picked for my roof. So when I saw this is one that got pulled, I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, I do not even, I just may not even do. But I was like, you know what? I said I would give it an hour of time to decide if it was going to be okay or if it was not going to be okay. So I am going to work on it for an hour. And then if after that hour it's still doing nothing for me, I'm just going to be done with it. I will still do it at some point, but I will do it with different colors and different fabric. I wish I had, I don't know if it's in the bag, I wish I had written down the colors for the house, because I like the house colors, but that roof, no, I don't like that. So that was the first one. And then the second one, which I'm excited to get out, is All Hallows Eve by Quaker Pumpkins. And I talked about this in a previous video. I did pay, it's in that video. I think I put the link or the information at the bottom. There is a girl that put her worded at the bottom where it says Harvest Blessings, and she has that on Gumroad that you can go on and pay a couple dollars or whatever and get that wording. So that's what I'm using at the bottom. So I am excited to get this one back out, even though it's not, I mean, it's not fall. It's nowhere close, but it's Quaker and it's fall, and I love fall colors and I love Quaker. And I've been kind of in the mood to do a Quaker because I'm not currently working on a Quaker. And I feel like that's something that I will probably, as many charts as I have that are Quaker, I should probably always have one of those going. So this is where it was when I stopped working on it. And this is one I'd actually taken. I started this when we went to San Antonio to see my daughter graduate basic. But it's on a piece of 16 count Ada that I coffee tea dyed. And it is long enough. I just didn't think you wanted to see all that wrinkled up fabric behind. But I am using the DMC. And I think it's pretty. I like the colors. So that'll come out in April and get an hour, maybe more. I don't know. We'll see. So, and then I do have some market purchases in my haul. So I had some stuff, you know, I talked about like everybody has. I had my picks for what I wanted to do, had, you know, ideas. It was only going to be this many or whatever. And then I was thinking, I was like, you know, I still have some pieces from last year's market that I loved. I thought they were the most beautiful thing ever. Bought them, kitted them up, put them in a bag, never touched them. So I was like, if I continue to do that, I'm just going to have all this stuff just sitting. And I'm at the point that I'm hoarding up a lot of floss in these projects that I could really be using for other projects. So I decided I would pull one of those pieces out and go ahead and start it. So of course I wouldn't pick anything small because that would be ridiculous. So I picked out Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. I love this. Like when she started showing pictures of this and when she showed her like the piece done in her market video, I just knew that everybody was going to be doing this. Like it was going to be the most amazing thing. It was going to be a hit. Nobody's going to care about anything else from market that year. And then I bought it, kitted it, put it in a bag, didn't look at it. So let me see if I can find the full. I'm sure you've all seen it. But this is not in my book. This is the whole piece. So pretty. I love the colors, just that muted like brownie, beigey, bluey, just beautiful. So I kitted it with a piece of, I'm gonna say 32 count platinum Lagana. So I got a little start on that. And it's going to be big and time consuming, but I like it. So I'm very excited to have that one started. It, like I said, I just thought for sure everybody, and there is a hashtag for it, and there are a ton of posts. I mean, lots of people have finished it, but I just thought everybody was going to do this. So everybody, why aren't you doing this? So let me know if that's something that you are stitching or have stitched or that you bought. And if, you know, you bought it and you're, you know, ready to get it out, get out and stitch with me. We'll see. You'll beat me. I promise. You'll beat me and it'll be fine. Okay. So then, that's all the cross stitch I have worked on this week. I do have another piece that really wants to be started. It really, really, really wants to be started. So I may start that before next time. I'm not really sure. And I still have not been to my LNS since market. She had gone to another market type event last week. They're a big needlepoint store also, and I think she went for needlepoint somewhere. So there were other people there, but I just like her, so I didn't want to go in there and shop till she was there. So maybe this next weekend I'll make my way over there to see if she's got the Plum Street releases, because I'm kind of holding off to see what she has. And like I said, I did buy a couple and I talked about those last time, but I want to see what she has before I go online and buy the rest of what I want. And I do. She has a good selection of floss, and I have some things I need some floss for. I need some more of that cranberry, so I want to go over there and see her. So I will go ahead and show you my cross stitch haul. And I think all these I talked about in the last video. This is Barbarina Designs Love Never Fails, and I had bought a piece of fabric for this, or bought a piece of fabric, and then I thought of this because of the pale people, which I'm pale, so I feel like that's me. My husband's not pale, so but I do want to go ahead and pull. It looks like it's DMC, so I do want to go ahead and get these colors and see how that's going to look on that fabric and get that one started. And I'm sure this has probably been out for a while. 2014, so a lot of people have done that, and I like them all. All of them are just pretty. And then I did go ahead and buy Dreaming of Van Gogh, one that I want to do for my daughter. This is all DMC, and this is not giant. I mean, it's a smaller one, so it shouldn't take too long to do. It calls for a 28 count Brittany Lugana. I don't know if that still exists. That doesn't sound familiar to me, but that doesn't mean anything. So, but I'm sure I can find like a blue. Looks like a deep blue. So I'm excited. I'll do some, have some Barbarina coming up. And I will say, when I open it up, they have this really snazzy little insert. Show some of her charts. I mean, just look. So pretty. I do like those deer. Like, she does really good deer. That spring deer. That's very pretty. The cat is cute. All the Dreaming Girls. And there's her. The Rampant Cat. I guess that's supposed to be like a Halloween sample or something, but it has my same little pale people. So we'll see. There might be some more coming there. And then I did, I'm going to take these out. I did purchase these two. These are probably, they're definitely in my top 5 from Market, these two. If not my favorite two. So I did go ahead and order these. Not that, you know, I thought it was going to go away, but I just needed to have some Market in my hand. So the first one is Scarlet House. Try to mark well. She has a DMC conversion, and then she has a 103 silk. Haven't tried the 103 silk, and I'm not sure that I'm ready to venture into another thread right now, so I may just do the DMC. But isn't it pretty? I just love that she did that. I love her charts. Like, I wish I had been smart enough to order her stuff from the very beginning, but I wasn't even doing cross stitch or anything then. But this is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I love when you watch, you know, Brenda and Laura or Saltbox Stitcher Carol. They're always like, oh, and Tanya. I want to be Tanya's friend. She's awesome. And then Channing Street by Annie B's. I did not realize when I purchased this that there are satin stitches in these. And then this stitch on the trees is a little bit different, but that's very doable. I am terrible at satin stitch. However, I love his chart so much, I'm just going to do it. I did pull out, I need to pull like the flosses. These are DMCs and a few Gentle Arts. But I'm thinking about doing this on a piece of my Oaken that I talked about in the last video. It's kind of a pinky tint because I have it on, it's a Lugana and a linen. So I want to see how these colors look on there, but I am so excited about this. I love the idea of this chart. I love the meaning of this chart. I love that. I love to watch her video with her girls when they talk about her husband. It's just, you can just tell how much love and joy and how much they miss him. So I just love this. So good job, Annie B's. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. So I am very tickled to have this. So plans, cross stitch plans for the next 2 weeks. I want to continue working on my whips. I have a couple new things that are kitted that are talking to me, but I don't know how much time I will have, so I don't know. I'm very torn about starting something new, but you never know. I might finish this video and go right in there and start something new today. But I do, like I said, I do want to continue work on my whips. I don't want to let any of my, my current items that I'm working on slip through the cracks and fall into the abyss where they don't get touched. So I want to keep those going. I do still want to start some of the smalls out of Teresa Kogut's patriotic book from last year. And then, you know, you'll see later in the video when I talk about my quilting, what plans I have going on there. I'm very much in quilt mode right now. So, you know, it just kind of depends on the day. You know, depends on, you know, what time I get home versus is it still light enough to do a little sewing. You know, how's the weather? Sometimes when it's rainy, I just want to sit on the couch under a blanket, cross stitch. So I don't know. And then, you know, if the weather's pretty next weekend, I'm sorry, I don't know. Something about making a video makes my nose itch every time. But if it's pretty next Saturday, I would like to, I have a gift card left from Christmas that I haven't used yet. And I have some items that I need to get together for quilt camp. So if it's pretty next weekend, I might spend the day out running my crafty chores and see. So we'll see. But like I said, that's all for the cross stitch portion of my video, but I do hope you will stay for the quilting. I have a lot of quilting things to show you today, and even though it may not be your thing, it may spark, you know, something in cross stitch world. There might be a color that grabs you or a color palette that you think will work for, you know, a pattern that you've been looking on. There could be anything. So like I said, I do encourage you to stay for the quilting. So I do start my quilting portion with my haul. So I, amazingly enough, only have 2 pieces of haul to show you. I think that's right. So I do have a pattern that I printed off from Fat Quarter Shop. So it's free for a layer cake. I will show you that once I kind of get the quilt going, and I think that's one I might actually start at camp. But it was free, so I don't really consider it like haul because all I did was print it off. I do have a new pattern that they released, and I bought the pattern not realizing that they were going to have a kit for this, and like the kit has the pattern in it. If I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have bought the pattern yet. I would have just waited and bought it all together, but it just is what it is. But this is Spangled by Kim Deal. I am very much about Kim Deal right now in this moment in time. And when I saw that Fat Quarter Shop was publishing this, I was, or not Fat Quarter Shop, but It's So Emma, which is, you know, owned by the same people. But when I saw that they were publishing this, I was very excited because I hope that they pick up her other stuff and continue to make her stuff readily available. Not that it was hard to get before, but she was with Martingale that just stopped doing business. I think that's right, Martingale. So I'm excited that she's already on the move and has some stuff coming. Her Instagram page is just always chock full of new things that she's working on. And she has a really pretty something with flowers or petals. It's got blues in it and it is super, super pretty. So this one, I won't start it right away because I have a lot of her stuff in the works right now. But this one winds up being finished at 60.5 by 60.5, so that's a good size. So that's coming. I'm very excited about that. Now, I talked before about how much I love Primitive Gatherings and this line of fabric that they did. I own it in every cut. I think I have it in mini charm packs. I have it in charm squares. I have it in layer cake. I'm pretty sure if it has a jelly bar, I own it. I can't remember if it has a jelly bar or not. I have it in a jelly roll. And then there was a flash sale at Fat Quarter Shop, and you could get the layer cake for like $20 and change. So I had to. But it's okay because I did a quilt last camp with the jelly roll for my husband. It's quilted. I just have to bind it. I have plans for these Fat Quarter bundles right here of this line for something I was going to take to camp, but I just have so much stuff right now that I have picked out for camp. I'm not sure, but it's a like a churn dash with these prints, and it is beautiful. So my intention is that I have a whole quilt ladder full of quilts that are made just with this print. So that will be easily accomplished with the amount of fabric I have bought from these lines. And now she has the red line, which is maybe cranberry something. I'll have to look, but the red line. So that'll probably be upcoming purchases. So I'm going to reach for just a second and grab my stack of quilting stuff. All right. So what else have I been working on in Quilt World? Well, let me just show you. So I have I don't know if I picked that stack up. I have another stack of something. If it's not in this stack, I'll show it to you next video. I have been cutting away on my prints for the quilt out of Mix It Up. I have decided I am going to take this one to camp and work on it. So camp is the end of April. So you will see this, hopefully, the quilt top when I come back from camp. But this is, take the directions off. This is what it's going to be for. And this is a quilt. I did look up to see if you could purchase this pattern separately, and I couldn't find anywhere where you could. But I guess it's possible it could be in another book somewhere also. Because this book is from (2019), so it could be in another book somewhere. But the name of the quilt is Bubble and Froth, and it's by Carrie Nelson. So I did do one little sample vlog, and basically the quilt is made up of a bunch of half square triangles. So I have a bunch of these prints that I have cut out for this, and there's a quilt in Susan Aki's new Summer Memories book that I want to use some of those prints in also, but that is down the line because I have so much stuff started right now. So I also have prepped, I talked last time about this pattern that I'd seen on Lala D Stitches. She showed this pillow that she had done. I talked about how I went online, bought the pattern. I already had a ton of little hexie papers cut out from another project, which is the one that I was going to show you today, but I don't know exactly. Oh, yes, I do. I do know where I put it. So I'll show you that in just a second. So I did go ahead and prep all my hexies. This is a contender for my background for the pillow. So the fabric line that I'm using is Date Night. It is by maybe Senchic. But it has, I know this is terrible representation of these, but I just love this. So this is also right now currently in the stack of quilt camp projects. I had done a quilt a while back. There was another line of fabric from years ago. It has to be the same designer, I'm just assuming, that was called Little Black Dress. Then they did, in my mind, I want to say they did a second line that was like Little Black Dress 2, but it might have just been a reprint of the first one. I can't remember. But there was one of those lines that they had actually reprinted because it was so popular and it was so pretty. So I pulled where I want to put this pillow. There, we have a chair in our living room that's a gooseneck rocker, and it's just full of pillows and stuff. But I have this quilt that is made with Little Black Dress laying over the back of it. So I want this pillow to sit there with it. So I need it to, you know, kind of be coordinated. But this is the quilt. And you can see like the colors are very, very, very similar. This is very close. Of course, I can't find the one that I'm looking for right now, but it's very similar to that. So my hope is that I can take this pillow that will be just a little different and pull some of those colors and make that match. So this quilt is out of a book. I'll try to show the book next time. It's like Fabulous Pre-Cut Quilts, but it has a section of layer cake quilts and a section of fat quarter quilts and a section of charm pack quilts. And these, I think, were made, I think I made these with charm packs, if I understand. But this is one from quite a few years ago. I actually did my own quilting on this, which is something that I haven't been doing lately, and I'm very out of practice. And I only was able to do like a meander type print anyway, but I really like this one. It's just very soothing and calming, and I like those muted tones. Okay, and then I worked on, I'm not going to show all the pieces because it'll just bore you to death, but Home Sweet Home that I've been talking about for 150 years. I did finish some more blocks. So right now I only have 5 more blocks to do, and then I can start assembling that. So, and it does have kind of a gray border around it. So hopefully I can get that done before camp. I don't know why this is turned into such a project for me, but it has. That's okay. Because I love it. I mean, it's not tedious or anything. I like it. I just hadn't thought I would have been done with it by now. I did do a couple more blocks from Socialites. If I'm able to go do some shopping next week, I want to pick out the accent fabrics for this. I think I'm probably leaning towards using a grunge, but it might be, if I go out, I'll probably go to Pineapple, because Pineapple's in driving distance. I hadn't been there since they had like a remodeling or something, so I may find something, another laundry basket quilt as my accents, or I might just do the grunge, I'm not sure. But those turned out good. Still behind on that, but that's okay because it's pretty. And then I did do some more of my blocks for Scraps of Kindness by Kim Deal. And I'll just flash through these real fast because they are different from the first set of blocks that I showed you, the inside piece, but they are all spool blocks. And I know there's a lot of spool quilt alongs going on right now. So this one has the little star middle. And then there's a couple that have the kind of mini split rail, I guess. And then these. So I got those 6 done, and I talked in the last video how I thought I was caught up and then a new pack came, and I haven't even busted into that pack yet, but still working on that. And then there have just been squirrels like everywhere in my quilting crafty world. So I was cutting out those squares for that quilt. And I had, when I got to the end, because I'm cutting them out of fat quarters, when I got to the end, there's just a little piece left over after you're cutting 5-inch squares from a fat quarter, and they're not really big enough to do like a 2.5-inch square, but they're not small enough to like get rid of. I was like, what could I do with those that would be fun? So I just started kind of making a little stack on the table next to me, and then out of nowhere I thought about this quilt video that I had seen years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, I'm not sure. It was a Missouri Star off of her YouTube channel. She was showing something called tiny houses. So I had seen this before. I wrote down all the measurements. It's not a pattern that she sells, and she said that she did not put it into a pattern because so many people did these house blocks that she wasn't going to make it a pattern, because it could be that she was actually given the same measurements that somebody else had already given, I guess is how I took it in the video. So she just got on the video, gave you the measurements, did a couple of blocks, and shows you. And the idea was that every day when you go in to start quilting, you do 1 block. And it kind of gets you started for that day. And she did something similar a while back with crumb quilts. And I'd actually started that because I have this big tub full of batiks. I mean, it's literally like a storage box full of scrap batiks. So I'd started doing a crumb quilt, and then I kind of lost interest in it. I was like, I don't know, which it's cute, but I was like, you know, even at this, it's not even making a dent in this pile of scraps. And it's not something that I would want to make like 10 versions of that quilt. You know, I'd probably make 1 and then that would be it. You know, I'd mark that off my list. So she was making tiny houses. And in her tiny houses, the door, she was putting fabric that had like people or dogs or plants or something that made the doors a little bit different. So I pulled the measurements back out, pulled the video back up and rewatched it, and I was like, oh, I know what I want to do. So I made a few blocks, the house blocks, and my low volume is what I'm using for my doors. So I just thought those were like super, super cute. So I'm gonna just, you know, make them until I'm tired of making them, just a few here and there. Use up some scraps. Now I did these, the roofs. I didn't use her measurements for the roofs. I used my Creative Grids Flying Geese ruler because I have a lot of rulers. And probably one day I will just do a video where my quilting portion is just rulers, because I have a ton. And I think a lot of that stems from, I worked in a quilt shop, so I would get a ruler, or, you know, if I made the demo, maybe I got a discount on my ruler or whatever. So I just kind of acquired them over time. And I know that people sometimes get a little exasperated with quilt shops and designers, and why do I have to have this ruler? Why do I have to have this ruler? But I want to tell you, this flying geese ruler I have used more than I have used any other ruler. And I'm not mad about buying any of my rulers. Like, they serve the purpose, whether they made one quilt or whether they made 5. I have no problem that I spent the money on those. But this one, I have more than gotten my money's worth out of it. So I'm using that ruler to do my roofs, which has the same end effect as what she shows in the video. But if you're interested in doing the houses, if you just go on YouTube and type in Tiny House Missouri Star Quilt Co., that video will come up. It's still out there. It's not a very long video. It goes very fast, and she does several blocks as she's talking through the process. So as you can see, like I said, lots of squirrels have been running through my quilting world right now. Now I also have lost something. Oh, right here. I also, in the last video when I was talking about all the things that I had to do, I've touched, I haven't finished all of it, but I have touched a good portion of what was on that list. I did talk about the stack that I have sitting over here that has, it had 7 items that are quilted that just need to be bound. So I decided last week that I was just going to make Sunday my binding day. So I pulled out a table runner. I was like, I'll just start, because I had 2 table runners in there. I said I'll start with the table runner, and I'll do that first because it won't take as long. So I got it out Saturday when I was sewing. When I do my binding, I'm going to make a complete sentence in a minute, I promise. When I do my binding, I sew it on the front by machine, and then I fold it to the back, and I hand stitch it to the back. So the way I've always done my binding. I have one table topper that I did a different version of binding, and it was okay. It had a good end result because it used 2 fabrics, and that's a whole nother conversation for another video too. But that's the only one that I have done that I have not done the binding this way, because I like it. I am one of those weirdos that likes binding. I know some people hate it. They just hate it like nobody's business, but I love it because it's that final finish of your quilt. You've put all that work into it. You've done all the piecing. Either you quilted it or you sent it off and anxiously awaited it to come back from your long armor. You trimmed it up, and this is the final thing that makes it just finished and pretty, and it's always just gives me such a sense of accomplishment to get a binding done. So I love binding. So I got the first one out, and this is just folded in half. This is a table runner. You can see it's twice that. It's made up of 5 of these blocks. All I put on the back was just a Kona snow. I had this sent off. I do this with all of my table runners. I hold on to them, or small quilts, whatever. I hold on to them when I have a big quilt that I'm sending to the quilter. I see if I have anything that same quilting design I picked out will work with this, and I send it along with it and make my backing big enough for the smaller piece and the bigger piece, and it saves me a little bit of money just because of how they charge for reloading and whatever. I mean, it may not work for your long armor, but mine, it saves me a little bit of money. So the pattern that it's quilted with it's like roses. I don't know if you can see the design on the back. And then the binding that I used is actually a piece that is in the table runner right here. It's the same one that has this little flower, so it pulls the colors in. So, and again, this green, it's bright. It's not as bright as it's showing me right now in the viewfinder, but it's pretty bright, but I like it. And I wish I had had this one done for St. Patrick's Day, because it has just enough green in it that it would qualify, but not so much green that it's just in your face green. But I did finish the binding on that one. And then yesterday I knew we were going to Topgolf, like I said. It's about an hour and a half trip there, somewhere around there. So I was like, well, I have another little table runner. I will get that out and get that binding prep. So Friday night, I came in, did the machine portion of it, and then I took it with me yesterday and worked on the binding. Got it almost done by the time we got there, and then just had another 15 minutes or so of the trip back, and I was able to get the binding done. So this one I did. So sometimes color gives me a hard time if I'm not following the pattern exactly and using the binding that it says. So a lot of times I have to go out and get my consultant, my husband. I'll take a couple fabrics out there and go, okay, which one? So he picked this one, which is a purple batik to go for this one. So here is this one. And I am so tickled with how this came out. When I was putting this together, this was a shop sample. When I was putting it together, I was like, oh, I don't know what she's done. This is not go together. I don't know, but oh my goodness, it turned out so good. And it's not perfect. Like the block is like this right here, the square. So this corner right here is a white triangle, and you have to put it together where your points match, and it makes a square. So look from back here, because if you look from back there, maybe you won't see where they aren't matched. But this was all done with batiks, and I just love that. And then here's the quilting on the back. This is the design my husband picked out for his Primitive Gatherings quilt. So I just put this one down on the bottom. It's like I can't remember what it's called, maybe Celtic something. But I was very pleased with how that one turned out. So I did put the green one, I switched it out and I put it on my dining room table. So as I was putting it out, I was like, I'll just pull this old one off and show. This one I always put out in like January, February, because it just, I don't know, to me it's like wintry blue. So I normally put this one out and leave it, and I have a tealy colored canister set. It's like that Pioneer Woman, like turquoisey looking glass canister set, and I set it out on. I just think it looks really bright and crisp and clean. So this is another one that was a shop sample, and we kind of pulled the colors together based off what was on the pattern. The other one, I think that this one we picked the colors based off what was on the pattern. I'll show you the patterns in a second. And then this one we picked off the colors. This one's been washed. The other two have not been washed yet, so this one has the crinkle to it. This one I quilted myself with one of the rulers that Angela Walters had designed for Creative Grids. It's not perfect, but it's okay. It's pretty. So I'll show you those patterns real fast. The first one, I'll just show you. This one is called Ring Toss Table Runner, and these are all by Cut Loose Press. This one right here is Taffy Pinwheels, and they all use Creative Grids rulers, and I'll hold them up again here in a minute and tell you what the name of the ruler is. And then this one is called Eat Your Veggies Table Runner, because in the pattern they used vegetable fabric. So here's just, I'll show you this. Like there's the three together. So you can see similar colors. Didn't like those colors, so picked our own. So real fast, I'll just give you what the rulers are. So this one is Creative Grids Pineapple Trim Tool, CGR JAW3. This one, Creative Grids half square 4-in-1 triangle quilt ruler, CGR BH1. Now I will tell you, this one, I mean, you can see it's hourglass blocks and half square triangles. So do you have to have the ruler? No. The directions are written with the ruler, so it makes it easier to follow the pattern, but you can adapt the pattern to not use the ruler. But I use the ruler because I love the rulers. I love gadgety things and whatnot. Okay, and then this one is Creative Grids Pineapple Trim Tool Mini Quilt Ruler, CGRJAW3 Mini. And I will try to list these pattern names and the rulers down on the bottom, because I know that was a lot of information, just in case you're interested in those. So that's been my 2 weeks worth of cross stitch and quilting. I am very thankful that you took the time to watch this video. I'm very appreciative of my subscribers. I know that everybody that makes these videos say that it's not all about the numbers, but it does make you feel good to have some subscribers and your numbers turn. And you know, if you did like the video, I appreciate you just hit the like button, just so I know that I'm not talking to space out there somewhere. If any of these projects have inspired you to do anything and you post that on social media, please tag me, either I am a stitch nerd or I am a quilt nerd, just so I can see them. I like to you know, see anything that comes off, or you know, maybe I've done something and you do the same thing, you do different colors, and that may make me want to go out and do that again in those colors. So I love to see the inspiration out there. So again, I do appreciate you stopping by. Quilting plans, I will say this, quilting plans, I do, so far I have 3 things almost cut out for quilt camp, and my goal over the next few weeks is to continue to cut things out for camp, because it goes faster if my pieces are pre-cut when I go. I want to get at least 1 more quilt bound before camp. The ones I have left, the stack of 5, range from a wall quilt to, I would say, a twin size. So I'd like to get some of those done. I still haven't sent a quilt out to the long armor, and I need to get back on that and get some sent to her, just so I can get some done and kind of free up some space in here. I do want to continue to work on my socialites. I keep saying I want to get that caught up. It's probably never going to be caught up, or not caught up by the time they're done with it. My Scraps of Kindness by Kim Deal needs some attention, and my Home for the 4th Liberty Box quilt needs some attention. So I would like to continue to work on those 3 things, and have them in decent shape before camp. There's always, I have so many kits of quilts, and I know I showed them all in one of my beginning videos, or I showed some. I didn't show all of them because it would just take so long. It would be like a 3-hour video. But I do, because I can tell a difference in how much I'm getting accomplished by getting my room reset. And I know I said that in the last video, and I'm sorry I keep repeating myself, but it has made a huge difference. So hopefully I'll get some of that done. I still have the quilt that's hanging in front of me that I need to get quilted. I was going to try to do that myself because it's smaller, and I wanted to try a new technique out. So I don't know that will be done in the next 2 weeks, but it is there. Oh, and I did, in the last video, the big, huge, giant petite quilt that I showed you, I did get my final borders put on that, and I did lie to you and tell you that there was a picture on my Instagram under I Am a Quilt Nerd. There was not. So I did put one on there. It's not a good picture because this thing is so huge. I moved my dining room table over like 2 feet, and it still wouldn't fit in that floor space. So it's a little crunched up, but you can see the overall pattern in there. And that was the Cozy Quilt Designs Bel Canto, I think was the name of it. But that is on my quilting Instagram right now. So like I said, if you have been inspired by anything, tag me in it. If you are interested in just seeing my quilting finishes, you can follow me on Instagram. I am a quilt nerd. Just my cross stitch, you can follow me on my cross stitch Instagram at iamastitchnerd. No spaces, no capitalization. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you have friends that you think would be interested, feel free to share on over and help me get those subscribers up. And I will see you in 2 weeks with an update. Thanks, guys.